Final tips for the May 21st AQA English Language Paper 1 exam. Question 1 is now multiple choice. You're shading the circles in the boxes of the correct statements, and this makes it feel easier, but here's the risk. Some wrong answers are likely to be deliberately worded to sound almost right. They'll use language that's very close to what's in the text, but there'll be a subtle difference that makes them incorrect. So in our sample paper, question 1.3 asks why the narrator hesitates to leave the causeway, and one of the options says the narrator is exhausted, and that's close to what the text says, but not actually true. The text says the narrator fears becoming exhausted, not that they actually are exhausted, so this wouldn't be the correct answer. So you've got to be really careful with this opening question, and the advice is simple. Go back to the text. Don't answer from memory. Reread the relevant lines and match the meaning carefully, and watch out for options that feel right because they're close to what the extract says, but don't actually reflect what it says. Question 2 is your language analysis question, and the summer 2025 exam report pointed out that there are still many students who write something like, "This makes the reader want to read on." That kind of basic comment will not get you out of level 1 on the mark scheme. You need to think about the specific effect the writer's trying to achieve in that moment. In our sample paper here, and you can watch the full video on this in my Paper 1 playlist, it's a very particular feeling of the journey being chaotic and unsettling for the narrator. And with that in mind, you then pick out the words or phrases, language features, techniques, sentence forms that achieve that effect. Question 3 is structure analysis, where you're asked how structure is used to create a specific effect. In our example, it's tension. Now, the most common mistake is just retelling how the extract starts, then what happens in the middle, and then how it ends. But that's a summary, that's not structural analysis. Structural analysis would be to ask how the decision to organize the text that way creates the effect you're being asked to write about. Why is this happening at this specific point? So for example, let's look at how our extract ends. Behind me, out on the marshes, all was still and silent. Save for that movement of the water, the pony and trap might never have existed. Now, the wrong thing to do is just to summarize how the text ends. What we want to do is ask, how does the decision to end like this create tension? And that's where we'd think about perhaps the contrast as the writer suddenly jumps from this chaos and noise to unnatural silence, using this anticlimactic ending to deny the resolution the reader wants, to leave the whole thing feeling incomplete, unresolved. And that creates tension because the reader's denied closure and left anticipating further hidden danger. Something else that came up in the 2025 summer exam was drifted into language analysis in Paper 1 Question 3, but remember that's not what this question is about. That's the focus of Question 2, but Question 3 is structure analysis, looking at where things take place and why that's important. Question 4 is the big evaluative question, and the most important thing I want to advise is to analyse methods, the focus of bullet point 2. In our paper here, the statement is the extract shows how frightened the narrator feels, which could explain why he abandoned the pony and trap to save himself. And what we don't want to do is retell the plot. Yes, he's frightened because he doesn't know what's happening. No, we want to identify methods the writer's using and then analyse how those methods show, in this case, that the narrator is frightened. So here's personification in the mist played tricks with sound as well as sight. I identify the method, then I think, can I explain how that personification shows the narrator is frightened? Well, yes, I can, because that personification reflects his psychological state. He's so disoriented and anxious that even the environment seems to be working against him, which intensifies that sense of fear. Finally, question 5. You've got 45 minutes, you're told to plan, and you know the basics, but here's what I want you to remember. 16 of those 40 marks are available purely for the technical accuracy, your spelling, punctuation, and grammar. So this isn't just about having a great descriptive idea or story opening. You need to think about how you are writing. You want to control your sentence lengths and types, vary openings, use a range of punctuation, think about why wide vocabulary. Remember, we talked about how you want to create a clear atmosphere, and that so often comes through vocabulary choices, thinking about your adjectives, your adverbs, bringing in some figurative language like similes and metaphors, and again, more of that in my paper 1 question 5 videos. What often happens, and I see this time and time again, is that students get carried away with their creative writing, and perhaps the first paragraph is really good in terms of technical skills and deliberate choices made, but then you get into what you're writing and you forget all about it. The technical quality drops because you get carried away with the content. So why not, in your plan, actually just jot down a few things to remind you of the technical accuracy skills you want to demonstrate? If you want more help on this, check out my Paper 1 2026 onwards playlist, and please do subscribe to the channel.